Alright, welcome to map number 4. This is Ancient. So, just as a quick walkthrough, I think we will go through B side first, and then we'll explore mid, and then finally go through A. Again, just no smoke lineups. All I'm going to do is talk about positioning, talk about callouts, and then talk about, I guess, some common places to hide, some common places to play, and some common places to check. So, if we get out of T-spawn and we turn right, we end up over here outside, I guess, B doors. This is still what considered like T-spawn. I don't think there's too much of a call out. Like this whole area is just T-spawn. This is the, I guess, door to get into B main. So everything here is around B main. Over here, we call this lane because it's like a straight lane over towards mid. So lane, B main, doors, just the common places to hide if you're not confident about actually holding B main, like whether you want to hold an angle here or not sure whether there's a push into lane. You can always just hide behind these boxes and just crouch and peek. And this corner is very good for throwing utility. You can throw all of your B-side execute strokes through here. I don't remember them correctly. So yeah, you can throw all of your lineup smokes over there. So, oh, never mind, I failed that lineup. Okay, anyway, so once you get out of B doors, especially if you have the spawn, you probably want to go towards lane because you want to control more of the map. If, however, you are scared and you want to pop out and you want to clear everything just meticulously, please make sure you clear off this angle because this angle combined with lane or combined with our cave is quite strong. So it is not uncommon for you to just throw a random pop flash and then just check over here and check over here just to make sure that you have the entire lane area covered. This is a little angle as well that you can use as a T just to hide around and I guess take a look at whether a CT player is pushing B. However, you can get spammed through here, so just be aware of that. You can also reverse spam, but generally speaking, not really a place that you want to stay in for too long, especially if you know that they have a tendency to spam. Also, as you're running up to B ramp, very important that you hug the wall, because if you're running wide, you're exposing yourself to all of these different angles. You're exposing yourself to this little cubby over here. You're exposing yourself to the pillar and to short and to long as well. So ideally, you want to be running a straight line through cover all the time. If you're wanting to peek at a wider angle, you're hugging this angle because you don't want to be exposed from long. Right, so you want to clear your cave, your cave pixel corner over here, your pixel angle, and you also want to be covering the rest of the apps. Sorry, the rest of the bomb pillar and the rest of this little cubby over there. You can boost over here. This is a nice little angle if you can boost on top, and the reason why is because as a CT, you could be holding long and you could be AWPing this line. Usually you're holding about the bottom. Sometimes you're playing close and you're holding over here. Just means you got to flick a little bit. It could catch a player by surprise. As a CT, if you're playing on B site, you really don't want to be mollying deep, because if you're mollying deep like here, the T's can just run past it. They're going to take minimal damage, maybe like 10 tick damage or whatnot, because this section is not where you stop as a T, right? Like if you're on T, you want to make a play, you want to be getting closer. No one's waiting here. Right, like maybe here, yes, but no one's waiting in the open. You really want to be like getting close, right? Like an angle over here or an angle over here. So mollying deep is of no use, okay? And same with nades. Like a deep nade won't like get you the desired result just because the T's would already be up, or they'll be playing a bit more passive. They're playing back over here, or maybe even behind the doors as they're setting up smokes. So realistically, you want to be using your util a bit more shallow. Yeah, of course, it won't really stop a burst. Like if you're smoking shallow as well, they can just pop out, and yeah, it will be a little bit harder to actually like hold it. But molly and nade wise, better to go in deep. If you're talking about actual B site, this is a nice little cubby. I guess we just call it gay spot, or like the hide, like a hold. It's good over here, but you can get spammed. But yeah, this is like the one and done spot, I guess. So you just hope that they don't check you. You can tuck yourself into a wall. This is the default plant spot, just behind this pillar. This pillar itself, the bottom pillar, is not wallbangable. But if you're trying to plant like over here or like over here, this plywood is wallbangable. So just make sure you are like away from, you have cover. So here is generally the best spot because you are invisible from cave and from long and short. However, do note that if you're planting here, this is also wallbangable. So yes, you can actually wallbang through here. And yeah, it's possible that you can get mowed down. So just be aware of that. Other plants, you can plant for CT. If you know that someone is flanking you, you can plant this other way. You can also plant open. Generally, an open plant would be around here, or maybe even here. I think this is where they call it like the tip of the penis. You can plant over there if you really wanted to. But other than that, there's a couple of weird angles on the A side itself as well. This is a very overlooked angle for A long. If you take a look here, the whole, like the corner itself is actually quite deep. So generally when you're checking your angles on like over here, for example, right? Like maybe you're clearing this angle, but you're actually not looking too deep into this angle. Like this plant over here is a good reference to where you're actually holding. So like maybe you're clearing here, but you're not really looking into this corner. It's also obscured by a shadow as well. So as a CT, you could be going deep and you could probably cheese a kill. Whereas as a T, you need to be extra careful in actually clearing this deep. So you need to like pre-fire it or something. This angle is also a bit, I don't know, like this one is definitely more shallow than this one, but it's still a decent angle nonetheless. You can, you know, try and kill the bomb planter over there. Gives you a little bit of access into the actual B side itself, as well as an angle into cave. So this angle obviously a bit more open into cave, but it does require a bit more like clearing, whereas this angle you have a nicer off angle, but it is a bit more shallow. So if there is a smoke like this as an example, yeah, you kind of blocked all visibility, whereas over here you do, like you can kind of like cheese something out of it. So just be aware of these two angles at long. Of course, you still have this pillar angle over here. When the smoke fades, you can still clear. Sometimes CTs will boost someone on top, so they do have a bit more higher view, and yeah, they could catch that boost angle on the other side. On B shorts, be aware of this little cubby. It's very shallow, but it's actually a pretty nice off angle. You can definitely catch someone because when you are playing on short as a CT and retaking as an example, you're more likely to be looking at B main, or more likely to be looking at site, and you're not really going to be looking over here. So yeah, this is like, if you're playing here, it's actually a pretty decent angle. Other than that, short is pretty straightforward. Usually you're smoked off anyway. It's pretty hard to make a play here unless you flash through. The other side of the B site is this area. This area is called cave, and cave is actually really complex because of how tight it is and all the different angles that you need to hold. We'll start from actually the lane side. So again, when you run out of the B doors and you turn left, you're entering this lane area. You can call this jump spot, where I guess people like jump up towards lane. But if you turn into here where the sign is, this side, it's outside of cave. It's not actually cave. We call this jaguar or cheetah. It depends on what you want it to be called. And this area itself already a lot of tight corners. You realistically want to be clearing the left side first. I know the shadows give it away, but the left side is actually more shallow than the right side. The right side is so deep over here that, you know, even if you can see the shadow, right? If a person is clearing the left side, they're more likely to jiggle. You'll be able to kill the head, like you'll be able to get a headshot over here, and then you can probably pivot and actually pre-fire this one. So you always want to clear the left side first, and then you want to hard clear the right side. But it's not uncommon for someone to literally just be playing in the open somewhere like this, or maybe in a corner over here, or even just the entrance of jaguar or cheetah, just like swap here. And AWP is also pretty strong over here, especially if you have a teammate as a CT in mid, because you just be aiming on this side, and if they're running across, boom, you kill, and then you run away. just be very mindful of clearing all your corners in cheetah or jaguar. As you go through here, this is another nasty angle that people don't actually clear. You can see the gun, the barrel of the gun as they're creeping before they can see you if you tuck yourself into this wall. If they're not aware, like obviously if you have like an M4 with a silencer, it'll stick out, but if you're not aware, just walking through over here because you want to clear this angle, which is the most usual angle, you're very likely going to get dumpstered over here. So just make sure you clear all of your angles. You just want to swing wide, just quickly check to make sure there's no like body part, but you should be able to see like a little body part over here. After you clear this, I mean, of course, before you clear the close angles, you got to clear the far angles, right? So you want to clear the B entrance to actual cave. This is an angle as well, like some people can be sitting on this side, some people can be sitting on the other side of the box, and some people could be even sitting in the corner. These are just all like pretty open spots, but because it's cave and because there's so many angles, you're not really expecting people to be in such an open spot. If you're a turret, you can sit over here, you can pop some heads real quick, also a bit of an off angle or maybe even this angle, but just be mindful, you need to be killing these people, otherwise you are going to get fragged and it's not a really decent spot. This is the most common spot on cave by far. Like everybody loves this angle because it's elevated and because it's a hard corner to clear. Someone who's watching your left needs to actually like tilt their crosshair up, so you're probably like, oh okay, oh my god, someone's there. So this angle is definitely something that you need to be aware of. My advice is actually not to clear this angle first, because there's actually another angle on this lamp. And this lamp one, right, is also very good because it is an off angle, it's also elevated, and you're actually able to see, so you're actually able to preemptively take a fight. So if you see a T coming this way, right, they're actually not watching this way, like maybe they've already cleared the door, that they're trying to clear here, they're probably going to clear wider, but you can actually fight them first if they're desperate on clearing this corner. So this is a really nice spot, and you can actually get like usually more than one kill here because the first person probably won't know where they died from. The second person is a little bit far away, like maybe they're like, oh my god, where'd you die from? And the shot probably coming from the right hand side, they might be thinking of swinging the door or the opening when you're actually a little bit closer. So you can vary the angle which you're playing, you can even go a little bit higher over here, but this angle as a T you should be clearing first. So just swing wide, should be able to clear everything, and swing the other way, hard clear that, and then you'll be able to come out. This position post plant is also quite strong just because you can hide away, but if a molly comes then you're a little bit screwed. But cave is also very strong, just you can spam over here to stop a bomb defuse of any kind, you can hide away, you can even, if you really desperately wanted to, wrap around and go the other way. That's mostly B sites. We'll go explore mid now. After you come out of cave, or maybe if you have a good spawn, you're going towards lane, right? If you drop down over here, these are like we just call mid boxes, right? Behind here is a pretty decent spot to hide. Actually, not a lot of people clear it. And as a CT, if you take mid control, like maybe you smoked off elbow as an example, right? You're just checking, right? You can actually just hide over here and sit over here. So while you have a teammate watching the smoke, you can probably be watching the smoke as well, but you'll be able to hear everything that the T's are doing at cave or at jaguar or even at lane, especially if they're making noise. So this is a pretty decent angle, and when you are a T and you are coming out of lane, you're probably going to be peeking donut or maybe red room, or maybe you're trying to clear like this little corner over here. That's called gay spot, by the way. So if you're clearing all of these angles, you're less likely to actually be looking down. So, as a CT, you can probably cheese a couple of kills over here, just watching here, and then, ducking back. This is also a nice place for you to throw a flash if you are coming from CT. So while your teammate is throwing like a molly or a smoke into elbow, you can throw a flash over here. It's not going to blind your teammate, but if they're pushing out of elbow, and by there I mean the T's, if the T's are pushing out of elbow, they're probably going to stare straight into that flash. It's blocked by these boxes, so when you're pushing down, you're not going to be blind, as you can see over here. Right, not going to be blind, but they will be. So just make sure you remember that this box itself is actually quite useful. Mid itself, pretty self-explanatory. There are a couple of avenues that you need to be aware of as you come out of mid. The first one is probably the gay spot. Over here you can get mollied out, but be aware, sometimes they could throw a really bad molly, like maybe if they molly it in that corner, Just like so. Oh, okay, never mind. That was a pretty bad example. But there's every possible chance where they molly it like a little bit shallow, as an example, and you can stay in the corner and not get burnt. So if you're mollying it, you gotta molly it properly. I'll like run, probably actually molly the corner itself. Don't be lazy and molly it shallow. Ghost Spot is there just, I guess, either as a place for you to hide while your other teammates are taking fights, or maybe in the middle of a round when they're trying to retake mid, right? You have a bit more control. You're easily getting one or two kills over here. This area opposite of the gate spot is called Donut. It's a circular area and it leads you into A. If you want to split A as an example, usually you want to go through Donut and A main. There's nothing too much about Donut. You just need to be aware of all the different angles. You can play close left, you can play close right, you can play at the back. There are some shadow giveaways, especially when you're playing more along the front. But other than that, Donut is pretty explanatory. This is Red Room, and its namesake is because it's red. This is also, I guess, mid when you peek. The CTs have a lot of leeway over here. Generally, AWPers will play a little bit more back. Riflers could probably play a little bit more towards the corners. In the beginning of the round, you can expect one or two CTs to probably like run out of mid and try and actually control it through Red Room. Once the smokes have dissipated and whatnot, generally the CTs will probably run back and play a more passive angle. This Red Room is a very flexible place, and honestly, CTs, I think, don't give it enough respect, because after they do all this stuff, CTs are used to playing aggro on this map, and I think in Ancient, especially as a CT, you want to be aggro because the map is quite big and the rotations are quite long. You can see how big this like mid area actually is. It takes quite a long time to actually reach the bottom, and then if you're going to go to B, it's going to take like, you know, at least another 10 seconds for you to actually run there. So part of this map is actually just taking control. As a CT, you need to be down mid, you need to be fighting, you need to be controlling to make sure that the Ts don't have this area. And if you don't control it, especially in the mid round when CTs have finished clearing stuff, or maybe, you know, they're like, oh, okay, our smokes are about to fade, let's play a little bit more passive. One person playing Donut over here, and one person playing probably a bit more shallow in Red Room, like playing down here. It's very easy for like a T to creep up from the side, especially if you're hugging a wall and you're crouching. So if I was a T, as an example, right, you know, I could probably like just smoke off. I forgot my smokes. Damn. Okay, whatever. It is what it is. Oh, good enough. So maybe, you know, you can avoid a lot of vision just by crouching, right? Just crouch, and then over here, if they're not holding Donut well, if they're not actually holding it, they're just playing passive a little bit, you can just keep walking, and you keep walking through, and then eventually you'll get to Red Room, and you can actually take a lot of space here, especially because the main rotation from B to A is through this CT channel, like through the back of B. So you can catch a lot of people running, you can hear them going, and you know, if they stop, you know that there's someone here holding Red Room. But just being here eliminates a lot of like different rotational plays. So being here as a T, you basically have control of Donut, because you're stopping the CTs from actually wrapping behind you and going the other way. So this Red Room control is really important as both a CT and a T. Just keep that in mind. Anyway, yeah, so you go through mid. Once you go through mid and you go through Red Room, like this entire place is called Red Room. You can say that they're close, you can say that they're far, doesn't really matter. A couple of cubbies over here, but they're generally not that useful unless you're like holding. So this is a corner. You can hold a corner over here as well in case you're reading that someone is like flanking, like a random lurker coming through Red Room. Coming through here, you can probably cheese the kill. Another angle, just the other side of it. Maybe you can hold like a wider angle so you can get another fight. But other than that, there aren't too many angles within Red Room that you need to be aware of. Or maybe if you're playing towards CT, you can hold a bit of a more passive angle here. This is CT spawn. This is where the CTs will actually spawn and they'll run out. This position is also a bit underrated because you can listen to everything in Red Room. If you're too scared to actually fight, you can, you know, listen for movement, and hopefully maybe you can crawl out and get a timing on someone if you stay quiet. If you run through here, the back of B, you actually get to B side. If you run the other way though, from CT spawn, you will get to the A site. This section over here is called Temple. Temple is probably one of the easier places to go through in terms of both retake as well as just securing the site, because it's a straight pathway. It gets you onto A site and you're secure from a lot of different angles. Temple is also good because when you're clearing it, right, especially if you're playing close, there's so much shadow here. You can see this shadow. So if you're playing close, right, look at where the shadow is. So it's very obvious for a player at Temple, you know, if they're going to find you, like if they're coming here, they're trying to clear an angle, like this is a deep angle, but there's going to be a shadow there. So it's pretty easy to find. There is a video of Austin CS, someone is like looking, like depending on the way your legs are bent, so you can like turn your leg this way and then like look down and you're actually kind of hidden. You have to be hard checked. So this is also pretty gnarly angle. It's good if you have a teammate over here that's trying to distract and try and grab attention. And then you hear like one or two people inside Temple and then you swing the other way. But I think you have to align your legs somehow. I'm not sure how to do it, to be honest. Maybe this way or something. I don't know. But yeah, just be aware of this spot in case someone's watched the Austin video. Outside Temple over here, again, a pretty nice spot. You're actually quite well hidden away from A main, and it's one of the harder angles to clear because you need to actually wide swing it. Yeah, you will catch a bit of flashes, but util generally not. So it's a pretty nice place to play, and you can hop out. Right? I think there's a silent jump for this. I don't know, but this is the Temple side. Over here, as a CT, this gap is crucially important because you can catch people on the cross. Most of the time this will be smoked, and if it is smoked, well then you won't be able to see too much, which is why taking Temple is also quite important. But if you go past this area, this is like, you can just call this CT elbow, I guess. It's mostly smoked, but if you get out of here, you are in the actual A site. In Temple, I forgot to mention, there's probably some elevated angles that you can take just to quickly clear out some doors. Maybe over here, and maybe over here as well. The A site, geometrically, quite a few corners, so you can tuck yourself in weird corners that are elevated, like over here as an example, just as a random off angle. You can play close over here too. A favorite spot for the CTs is to hold behind these boxes. You can say they're like the default boxes or like the bomb boxes. If you play back, you can actually see the heads as they come through. If you play close, you're a little bit more obscure, and yes, you can play around them. It's quite neat. If they're playing a bit more forward, CTs can sometimes be having having donut control, and they're probably going to play at an off angle, so they let you stream up through A main, and then they can probably pick you off one by one. But this is probably the most popular spot as a CT player. You just play behind the single box. You can swing right, you can swing left, you can jump spot. You can even go back to Temple and play the opening of Temple, get a quick kill and then run away. If you're AWPing, this is also a really strong angle just because you can actually just boom, okay, run away. So this single box is not to be underestimated. You can molly it out, and it's probably the best way of clearing it, aside from getting information from a jump spot. But other than that, single box really useful. Better check it, better clear it. This other box on the right is kind of useless because you have to tuck yourself in. If you stick out this way, your gun does show and it's liable to being cleared. If you're CT and you have a silenced M4, it will stick out like a sore thumb. And of course, you don't want to be playing here because this is so open. You have no cover at all, and you're just going to get blasted if you actually peek it. Unfortunately, for a site, there isn't really like a close angle as a CT to play, which is a good thing for the T's because you actually don't have to clear too many close corners. The only close corner that you need to clear is the boost spot. So you can actually boost yourself onto this little platform, and this platform is called Boost. You can boost yourself, or you can get a teammate to boost you over here. It's a very strong spot, obviously, because you can, if you want to play wide, you can actually get like a pretty quick jump on someone who's over here, and you can just duck and fall off and get back into the site and get a bit more cover. Or you can play a bit more passive, and you can hold a line over here. Especially with shotgun, you can play close, like close to the wall and close to the edge, so that you can actually get a few more headshots. Or with an SMG, you can even tuck yourself back all the way here. You will be able to see the heads of people, and it's a more solid place because it's deeper to clear. So generally, if you're like a T side expecting someone to be here or expecting someone to be here, but like deep is not really somewhere that you're expecting. So you're probably expecting here, probably expecting closer. And by the time they're like swinging you, you probably have a better shot at them anyway. So boost, check that. Make sure you check the single box. Make sure you clear temple. Make sure that make sure that CT is smoked all the time, because you're isolating this far angle. Otherwise, you get picked off by an AWP. Then as you walk in, you kind of want to path this way to try and clear off temple, clear off this spot, and then yeah, maybe clear off this bomb stack as well. Just molly it. That was a terrible molly, but I guess it does the trick. And if you have temple smoked off, if you have donut smoked off, that gives you a lot of options as well. So the default smokes would be one for temple, one for CT, and one for donut, and that gives you a lot of area to plant. You can plant over here. This is a pretty safe plant, except for the fact that you can be spammed from donut. If you're scared of being spammed from donut, you should plant in the corner over here. This plant is pretty decent. It's probably the safest plant of all, especially if the CT side is smoked. You can also plant this way, because this way you are also kind of clear of CT, and actually no, not really. This spot I've seen people plant before, but it's pretty open. If you're scared of people from CT and from temple, but you came from donut and you're pretty sure donut is clear and you're pretty sure that A main is clear as well, you can just plant here, and you will be covered from most of the spots. That should be all for A site. There isn't too much else that you need to be aware of. Just make sure you clear all the angles, because even though there aren't too many close angles, there are a lot of corners on this site. So it is not like, it's not uncommon for somebody to play on top of this gargoyle and just like, kill and then duck away, or maybe play behind these boxes, especially if everything is smoked and the whole site is a bit chaotic. If we go into A main, which is probably the final spot that we need to talk about. This seems similar to the A Palace in Mirage, because you have two different sides. It's not uncommon for you to get timinged over here and over here. Generally, people like to go on this left side because they have a full line of sight in towards A, but just be mindful that if you are peeking this way without a smoke, you could easily get AWPs. Also, CTs do have a tendency, especially on eco rounds or on an aggressive play, they can molly this side to stop you from going here, and then they peek this side, and you get 2 or 3 people peeking over here, get some free kills right away. So this molly can stop you from going towards the left. If you are going towards the right, just make sure that you have your gun out. This angle is very underrated because no one really expects it. This angle also, over here in this corner, you're probably like setting up to get a push. The problem here is you're probably going to eat a lot of util damage, especially if you're playing around this area. So generally speaking, the right hand side, especially if you're playing a little bit more back, is a better way of avoiding util damage. Other than that, we go out of A main. This is, I guess, the beginning of A main. This corner here and over here are some decent places for people to line up smokes. And finally, if you want to go through mid from T-spawn, if you didn't turn right, you turn left and you went up here towards towards A, you can go over here, and this is elbow. As a T, elbow is going to be heavily controlled by the CTs. More often than not, you're probably going to get smoked out. There's probably going to be a molly in front of it, so even if you push at the smoke, you're probably going to burn, and CTs might add a couple more HEs on top of it just for extra damage. So unless you have a committed plan, and unless you're confident and you're forward and you're quick, you're probably going to eat a lot of util damage. So in this case, it's much better for you just to play back. If you're not confident, you're definitely not going to play here, because people are going to swing out. They're going to expect you here. Someone's going to be playing gay spot. He can swing out and probably bop you. If you're a little bit deeper, you're going to get caught by a couple of flashes. If you're even deeper over here, the nade stack's going to get you. So it's generally a really hard place to take control of as a T. So the only way for you to play this, I guess, passively, play a bit more back, wait for the smokes to expire, wait for the early util to dry up, and then you retake it, probably with a flash of yourself, just like flash across, then you can take a peek. Or alternatively, you can just give up this place, just hold it hold it really back, and just make sure no one is pushing, also no one is pushing A, and try and make a play through lane. Alternatively, yeah, you can coordinate with your teammates, get some people to come through lane, throw the flashes, and then you can push out the util. But yeah, this is basically Ancient in a nutshell. See you guys in the next one.